Ho, ho, ho! We slid right into home plate today, Hoss. No time to prep. Very little time to get things ready. You know why? Because they have announced a gas shortage. It's not a gas shortage. They say the supply will be back up by the weekend. I mean, I don't know whether to believe these assholes or not, but all I know is if there's a gas shortage, why do you line up 30 cars deep waiting for some gas and leave your car running, burning the precious gas that there's a shortage of? Why do you do that? I'll tell you why. So you can block old JC from getting home in time. That's why you do it. South Boulevard was blocked. I couldn't get into my damn neighborhood. People waiting on some gas. You know what I told them? You want to haul that tanker? You talk to me. That's what I told them. Most of y'all don't even know where that came from. At this point, I don't care. Welcome to Break On Through. I am your calm, cool, and collected host, Jeffrey K. Clayton, the long-haired weirdo, also known as the unimpeachable president for life. You can't impeach me. Don't like what I'm doing? Get on down the road. I ain't going nowhere. As promised, today I have a very special guest, filmmaker extraordinaire. Some of you may know him as announcer on very, very important anti-scene cultural events. When it's real important, we get this guy to announce it because he owns a suit. There's Miss Clayton. Hey, Miss Clayton. We barely made it. We barely made it in the dough. But here he is. Live! Mr. Jason Griscom. Give him a break on through hand, everybody. Come on, I know we're on a delay, and y'all will be clapping when he's already been here for a few minutes. Good to see you, Jason.
Good to see you, Jeff. Thank you. Privilege and an honor to be on.
Great to have you here, man. So, we're going to talk a little bit about a movie this guy made back in 2003. A horror comedy, independently made, right here around the Carolinas and maybe even some down in Georgia. I know it's backwards to you, but you'll have to get over it. It's called Come Get Some. And I have the DVD right here in my hand. After we're done talking, if you're curious and want to get one of these, my main man, Mike Pilmer, my webman, says it'll be up tonight on the website. Is tonight 6 o'clock? Is it 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time? I don't know. Check it later. If you want to play it safe, check it tomorrow. Get you a copy of Come Get Some. But Jason, I'm going to ask you questions, and I just want you not to just answer me, but talk to the people out here, so they can. I'm going to pretend like I'm the voice of the people.
All right. Well, you are.
No, I am. Yeah, so
You
I'm
are.
trying to pretend.
Yeah. There's no pretending at all.
Let me get you a little bit more camera here. All right, there we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Good.
All right. What makes a young Jason Griscom one day decide, you know what? I'm done watching movies that other people have made. I am going to make my own. And then take step number one, because we all know step number one is the hardest.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is for sure. And
Give
that's
us a little background.
that is a very good question that I could go on for days about, but I won't. I will summarize. We started this back in '98. Was the original script. And, fun fact, I don't know how many people know this, but it was originally called Get All Over These instead of Come Get Some. That was because I worked with an old guy in his 60s. And every time you saw him, he'd go, "Get all over these." and I loved it. And he was actually going to be the original Last Resort man. But so we started there. I tried to write a script. It was 25 pages long. If anybody knows scripts, it's a minute a page roughly, so I had a 25-minute long movie. But I was undeterred, so we just started shooting. And we tried out everything. We tried digital. We tried everything. I was really big into black and white photography back then, shooting medium format pictures. And so I said, you know what? The digital revolution was kind of coming. You could sense it. So I was like, you know what? Before it comes, I want to shoot a movie in 16 millimeter. So I looked around. There was a guy that lived near Charlotte that had all this camera equipment. So I went over there and bought a 1945 Bolex 16 millimeter camera. 1945. Yep. Shot like a champ. Didn't scratch one single roll. Didn't accidentally expose one roll. Nothing.
That whole movie was made with this camera.
Was on this camera right here. Yep. This one camera holds 100-foot rolls. So you only had 2.5 minutes of shooting time. So no Goodfellas long shots through the Copacabana
Right.
for Come Get Some. But so yeah, that's what we did, and I send the film off. It gets digitized. I edit on my Apple, very early generation Apple. So that's kind of the start of it, and the one thing that carried through almost everything was the idea to have an Elvis zombie walking down the street to the strains of Walking Dead. That was my main goal. If I could get that on film, I was happy. So that's kind of the genesis of it all. Was way back in '98.
All right. Well, we had an outline made up. Mine's on my phone and I can't see it. Do you have yours and know exactly where we wanted to go?
Oh, I'm just gonna roll. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good. So the movie that hopefully everybody watching has seen or will soon see, it really started coming together when I went down to a Dragon Con to work for Troma. I was going to be Sergeant Kabuki Man for Troma that weekend. And I met Stephen Granger, who was also working for Troma as Toxic Avenger. And we hit it off almost immediately. His and my sense of humor was very similar. We had a great time. And about the second or third day, I said, you know what? He would make a really good. He was called Man with No Name back then. So I sent him a copy of the script, and he put a lot of good polish on it. I think he was the one that brought the agents into it, which really tied everything together, fleshed it out really well to where we were now up to like between what he and I did, we were up to like a 60-page script. So I was like, all right, we got an hour. But I knew that the big last scene, it literally took up a paragraph in the script, but it takes 15 minutes of screen time, I think. So, it wasn't exactly a minute per page. But yeah, that was when everything really came together, was when I met Steve. And I started putting up flyers around town at VisArt Video, UNCC, all the clubs, to try to get actors and actresses. In fact, this right here is one of the very original flyers that I put up to have people call. And I can tell how old it is because the phone number is my landline. I didn't even have a cell phone yet. So imagine trying to make a movie without a cell phone these days. That is actually the reason I bought a cell phone, was because of the movie. So I was starting to get calls. I think Bonnie was the first one to call me, and through Bonnie, Her brother Clay came down. He moved down.
Clay was really instrumental in
Oh, hugely instrumental. In fact, if you see my shirt here, he was the one that actually drew the Elvis Zombie logo right here. So yeah, with them on board, and then Colleen came on board, and we got all the girls together, and we started shooting mainly for a trailer, because the key to the whole Come Get Some was getting ANTiSEEN music on board, because I had it all throughout the movie, planned all throughout the movie. So I still remember very vividly when I cut a trailer to Death Train Coming, and I invited you over to my house, and you came over, and I showed it to you, and you were typically stoic as you were watching it. Yes, indeed. You were analyzing it. We talked, we hung out afterwards and everything, and once you got home, you gave me a call, and you were like, you can use anything you want. Any ANTiSEEN song you want, it's yours. And I was just like, oh shit, here we go. It's on now.
Little did you know, though, part of the deal would be that we would end up having to practice in your house.
Right. Yeah. that is a good point. Yeah. My basement was the practice studio for I think it was Bad Will Ambassadors.
Yeah.
Was basically written in my basement.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, a slight trade-off, which to this day my heart still races whenever I see a basement because of what Barry did to me after
you
practice.
Explain that right quick.
Oh my God. So
let's not go too far off
right,
the film, but
yeah. So they would practice in the basement, and they would just leave out the back door, and I'd go down to make sure everything was locked up. Literally 20 minutes after they left, and I walk down, I walk over to my door. It was one of those doors that has the 9 panes of glass in it. So as I'm reaching to lock it, Barry jumps up from behind the door and screams, and I literally fell to the ground, curled up in a fetal position, just whimpering. And I thought I was going to die. I mean, and that's the start of it. I mean, they put my True Romance standee all over the place to scare the crap out of me.
Yeah, we put a suit of armor in his closet one day.
Yeah,
and
scared the crap out of me.
One day, we forced you into a wrestling match and broke your glasses.
Yeah, that happened. So,
you know, just good, clean fun.
Right.
Between friends.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it was a good time.
So how did we physically get involved? I remember this whole, getting the soundtrack together.
Yeah, so in the original script, there was one scene with the quote-unquote rednecks, I called them. No offense, but...
Typecasting.
Yeah. And I had you guys in mind when I wrote that scene, and it was the baseball bat in the back of the truck scene. And it was about a page long, so I gave it to you guys. I asked you if you wanted to be in it, and Barry, Doug, and you are all like, yes. And Joe famously asked, when are you going to shoot? And I said, well, probably some Saturdays and usually Sunday. He's like, well, I can't do it. It's going to interfere with watching racing. So that is why Joe Young makes no appearance in Come Get Some, is because it interfered with his race watching.
You want me to tell you something else?
Yeah.
The honest truth, Joe could not stand to see himself on film.
Oh, really?
Especially if he was talking.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Could not stand it.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
So I can tell you right now,
he wasn't
going because of this fucking racing thing.
He wasn't going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so I gave you guys the script like a week before we were going to shoot down in Rock Hill at your old house. And you guys showed up. And to replace Joe, we got Travis.
Who was our merch man at the time.
Yeah, who was the merch guy at the time. And so we showed up, and you guys had written like 3.5, 4 pages worth of material, I think.
That was Barry and Doug.
Yeah, Barry and Doug wrote 3.5, 4 pages worth of material. And we started shooting, and I swear to this day, that might be the most fun day I think I've ever had. Like, if you get the DVD, look at the behind the scenes of shooting that, and you will hear me just dying laughing constantly. Because the one that gets me, that I nearly dropped dead on, was when Barry was getting ready to spit in Travis's face, or yell in Travis's face. I was getting ready to call action, and you could see him just loading up the chew in his mouth and getting it all ready. and it was just dripping, and he was this close to Travis. And I said action, and he just goes, "Rah!" and just tobacco spits flying everywhere. And I yelled cut, and everybody just died. I mean, just absolutely died. It was amazing. Doug came up with some killer lines. One of my favorite things in movies are jokes that come back and recur all throughout. And his lines about everything being a federal offense shows up like 3 times in the movie. I love that. Barry with his ridiculous lines of Slobberknock City and all that. And the 3 of you doing the Three Stooges routine. I mean, it was just classic. It was everything that I was really hoping that it would come out to. And so based on that one scene and how much fun it was, I had you guys write 2 more scenes that you were going to be in. The one with the toxic waste barrel, and then at the very end.
I remember that toxic waste barrel scene being particularly fun.
Oh, it was hilarious. I mean,
we had a 55-gallon barrel that was empty. We built a fake bottom in it that was only this deep. And we had a hose with our fog machine. And the fog would come right out of the water. It was so strong. And we only had like this much water in the top of it. And so the thing would make bubbles and then make smoke come out of it. So it looked really dangerous, but it was only this much water. And a really fun scene.
Yeah.
What was our third one? The battle?
Yeah. When she's hitting on you, and Barry goes, "Hey, I'm the good-looking one." And you're like,
I got
pretty eyes. One of my favorite lines, also. Absolutely classic. But yeah, it was just so much fun. Barry pulls a 20-foot-long chain out of his pants at one time, and I'm like, where did that even come from? I mean, it's just genius. And everybody, we shot this movie over the course of probably 3 years, and then took another year just to edit it. And everybody, down to a person, I mean, imagine being in your 20s and having to keep your hairstyle the same for 3 years. I mean, everybody was completely on board, and just
that
really
was real
game.
hard for those girls, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it was just it's crazy. And we were also going back and forth to Atlanta to shoot, because Steve lived down in Atlanta. So I'd go down there sometimes and shoot his stuff. He'd come up for the weekend and shoot. Everybody had a full-time job, so it was only weekend shooting, and I mean it was a grind. But yeah, everybody was on board to get it done. And one really cool thing too that came up is you really learn how small this world really is, because so many people on the movie came to the movie independently but knew each other. I got Gina and Brenda from Volatile Baby and Doubting Thomas, and they were really good friends with Bonnie and Clay. I had no idea. I mean, Colleen knew all of them. You guys knew each other. I mean, it's crazy how many people knew each other, and how many people formed friendships that are still lasting to this day, actually. Yep. I mean, it was really cool to see.
One thing, if you do get this DVD and it's the first time you're watching, or if you already have and you're watching it again after hearing us talk, one thing that you'll notice that Jason, as a movie fan, particularly horror movie fan, there's all kinds of Easter eggs in this movie, man. Like, we're not going to tell you what they are.
Yeah.
But there's tons of them.
Yeah. Clay and I used to say you could play a drinking game to every time you see a horror movie reference show up and come get some, you take a drink. But use beer, because by the end of the movie you will be hammered, because there's so much in there that we purposely put in so that horror aficionados could really enjoy it. I mean, there are some really obvious ones too, but there are some hidden ones in there, because back then I was really into those first few Peter Jackson movies, Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles, all that killer stuff. The Sam Raimi movies, obviously Evil Dead. I mean, hell, Come Get Some comes from Army of Darkness. So, we were really influenced by that kind of vein of comedy. And shooting black and white really helped because the gore effects, we didn't have to worry about them looking good in color. So all of our blood was chocolate syrup.
Chocolate syrup. Right?
Yeah, and you could have just a hunk of raw meat, and it looked great in black and white. You didn't have to worry about it. So if you see the color, our zombie makeup, I mean, people look terrible if we were shooting in color. Because I used like the mud mask that you put on to exfoliate your face and let it set up and crack. So everybody was like pale green, and we would just use random colors and stuff because black and white just made it look beautiful.
I mean, I for one really admire the fact that you shot in black and white. I hate the fact for you that it was so laborsome. Shooting on film, for one thing. Man, and just like, what was it, 2 years later? 2, maybe 3 years later? You realized you could have done this entire thing.
Oh, yeah.
Digital. But there's got to be a part of you that's glad you did it this way.
100%. 100%. In fact, I still, to this day, have all the film negative laying around my house because this is good stuff. You hold it up, and I mean, it's right there. 16 millimeter. It's beautiful. So yeah, I was really glad I did it. I probably would not do it again if I had the opportunity, but 100% glad that I was able to do it.
I mean, I can only put this in a term that I understand. I mean, the first couple records we put out, we did everything.
Right.
We got the record pressed. We got them back in plain sleeves. We printed the cover. We cut the covers. We folded the covers, put double-sided tape on the covers, pushed them together, and then stuffed them all and then put them in bags.
Yep.
Now, do I want to do that every record? Yeah. No. But I'm very glad that I had to do it the first few.
Yep.
And I think it teaches you something.
It does.
And I think having done that in a way that was was unfortunately going out of style.
Yeah.
While this newer way was coming in, I know you're glad to have gotten to do it.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I'm seeing a lot of people ask, where am I going to be able to get this ready? Because you didn't hear me at the beginning, or you weren't paying attention, or you came in late. But here it is, right here. I got it. How are you going to get it from me? ANTiSEEN.com. It might be available right now. I don't think so. My web guy said it would be available tonight. What time is it? You know what time it is?
I have no idea.
I don't know what he means by tonight. I mean,
5:25.
It's nighttime to me.
Yeah.
I'm ready to eat. But I'm going to show you one more time before we sign off here. We got a little bit more time. Anything else you'd like to discuss, Jason?
One thing I would like to bring up is the soundtrack in general. Lots of ANTiSEEN, of course, but from ANTiSEEN, as soon as bands heard that ANTiSEEN was putting music in this movie, everybody was on board. Hellstomper gave us some tracks. I mean, everybody that I asked for music was like, yeah, definitely.
Man, there was even talk about doing a soundtrack.
Yeah.
CD.
Yes.
Was that with Steel Cage or with TKO?
That was with TKO. Yeah, and that was...
But for whatever reason, it never happened.
It got really far along, and for some reason, it fell
the
through
bottom
at the
just
end.
kind of fell out.
Yeah, because the soundtrack is just killer. Chronic Disorder, Doug's band, gave us tons of songs. Lots of songs over the final battle were them. And one thing I would like to talk about is the final battle in this movie is over-the-top ridiculousness times 50. And none of it was scripted. It was, we showed up, all the actors and actresses, we got lots of friends to come play zombies. Some of the best zombies were Chip and Brad from Chronic Disorder. Oh my God, they would literally do anything you asked. I had literally a hunk of prime rib this big that we put inside somebody, and I just said, all right, just start ripping stuff out. And Brad or Chip, I think both of them even, just grabbed it and just started gnawing on it and pulling shit off of it. And I mean, just raw meat. And oh my God, I mean, they just went for it. Everybody went for it, especially the zombies. I mean, they just went all out.
Isn't there a part where Doug slips on a dog turd?
Yes.
Was that a real dog turd?
That was a real dog turd, and Barry and I almost threw up shooting that scene because with the lens I had, it was a really wide angle, so to get a close up, I was literally that far from the dog turd, and it was a stinky one. I think Barry purposely found the stinkiest one, and I called action, and Doug slid right through it. I yelled cut and went off and was dry heaving, and then Barry, of course, chased me around with it. To make me dry heave even more, but yeah, that one was the closest I ever came to puking on set.
Now, is it okay if I tell something?
Oh,
about,
yeah.
Come get some.
Oh God, this ought to be good.
One of the things that like we had no experience, in being in a film. We've been in front of the camera plenty of times, but not in a film. And we would go over the scene. We'd usually do a practice run, maybe not a full-on practice run, but just to where everybody had an understanding of what we were doing. And Jason would say, "Roll them," and he'd get it. As soon as we were done, it didn't matter what it was. It could have been the worst take ever. The worst. You knew it sucked. You're like, oh shit, I got to do this again. Jason, as soon as it's over, perfect.
Yeah.
I think what he meant. We went from point A to point B. I'm happy. Perfect.
Yep.
Was it good? I'm not concerned with that.
Right. My directing style was very Ed Wood back then. When George Animal Steel in Tim Burton's movie hits the door, and they're like, "But he hit the door and it moved," and he goes, "Yes, he would have that problem in real life. Let's move on." That was it. It was just like,
that was you.
Nah, we're good. We got this. Because my theory was, and I do think it translated. My theory was, if you captured the energy of the scene, and it looked like you were having fun, that's what was important about the scene. Well, if somebody read a line a little wrong or something, that doesn't matter. If the energy was there and you could see the fun that people were having making this movie on the screen, that's what mattered.
I don't recall having a very strict script.
No.
Not for our parts.
No, not at all.
Basically, I just played myself. The grouchy leader. Typecasting, I say. Yeah. Typecasting. I'll never get another role.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. And I think when you guys see this, I mean, look. Some people can't watch a movie unless they think they're getting ready to watch another Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
I am a person that enjoys movies. And if the movie happens to have some flaws or some faults, a lot of times, if it's still entertaining, that's no problem to me. Now, I'm not saying come get some full of flaws and faults. I'm just saying, a lot of it is really done tongue-in-cheek. And if you think it's just people with a camera not knowing what they're doing, maybe in our case that was it, but not in Jason or Clay or any of those people. They were real serious about getting this made. And we were real proud of them. When it was made.
Everybody, all the girls and Steve, especially, I mean, everybody came with ideas, and once we started rolling, we're very serious. We had a lot of fun afterwards and going to dinner and hanging out at night and everything, but when the cameras were rolling, everybody was dead serious to make it as good as we could, and it comes through. I think it really does. One other thing I wanted to mention about the final battle, if you look real close, one of the funniest things I think is when Clayton gets his head twisted off. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. Carrie was the one that fixed your head up and is playing with it. Because what was that head? Where was that from? Was it for a Halloween show or something? Because
Yeah.
it was a mold of your face.
It wasn't my face.
It looked really
We
good.
made it look like.
Yeah, I mean, it looked good when we put the hat on and
Because
the beard.
once we got that because the mouth is like,
Yeah.
and we put a beard on it, we put a wig on it, and a cap. And we had it to where it all stayed together so that it could roll. And my daughter Carrie.
Yeah.
You'll see her being a little girl zombie on here. She just turned 30 years old the other day. Just let you know how much time is flying.
Yeah.
She picks the head up and tosses it a little bit and throws it in a little red wagon. And
Yeah.
zombie walks off with it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's my goodbye
Yep.
on the movie.
and actually, another spoiler word. I apologize, but probably my favorite scene that we shot was at the very end when the carnage is done. You're looking at the battlefield,
I know what you're gonna
and
say.
Travis just hauls ass across the field, through the woods, and just keeps on running. It's the funniest thing ever. I mean, it was hilarious.
We tried to treat Travis like he was the bumbling fool in our little group, but actually we were 3 bumbling fools, and he was the only one that kind of had it together all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to add?
Just that, I'm really glad that it's still out there and people are still interested. We've got, much like ANTiSEEN fans being rabidly loyal, we've got some rabidly loyal Come Get Some fans as well. And obviously the crossover between ANTiSEEN and Come Get Some is undeniable. But there are people out there that are really, really champions of this movie, and I greatly appreciate that. And we took it around a lot when we first made it. Went up to New York and showed it up there and got an award. Got an award at the Charlotte Film Festival, and it's still out there, and I'm still really proud of it, and I think everybody involved with it is still real proud of it.
But upon talking to Jason, we realized this is year number 18.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's mind blowing.
And I'm just like, well, Jason, we need to do a revamp. So I wanted to have him on here. And now we got the DVD is available at ANTiSEEN.com. Very economically priced, especially if you live in the great United States of America. If you can pull yourself away from the fucking gas station, come get some on DVD with extras.
Lots
Deleted
of extras.
scenes, making of, comic book preview. Comic book never came to be either, did it?
We had a short run of it.
You got a short run?
Clay drew the comic book, and I've got the original pages of it still.
2 audio commentaries as well. I imagine you're one of them, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the behind the scenes stuff is reason enough to buy it. If you're an aspiring filmmaker, it will show you just how much fun making a movie can be, and how much work it is. Because you'll see me. Well, you won't see me, but you'll see a wad of heavy moving blankets sitting in the middle of the road because this camera is so loud. To try to record on-set sound, they had to wrap me in moving blankets to try to silence the camera in 90-degree summer heat in Charlotte. So
that's no joke. Any of you who know what that's about down here.
Good Lord, yeah. But yeah, because my influence hugely came from Robert Rodriguez's book Rebel Without a Crew, showing how he made El Mariachi. That we really took that and ran with it here, and every single thing was DIY. I mean, an actor was in the scene one time, and then they were holding the boom mic for the next shot. I mean, total DIY, which is the way I really, really enjoyed doing.
Classic stories we always heard about George Romero and his crew.
Yep, exactly.
Well, you might be holding a boom one night, next night you're dressed up like a zombie eating a bug off a tree or something. So
Yep. I think Clay holds a record of being, 13 different zombies in the movie.
But I just want to say we had a great time making it, and sometimes it just gets kind of lost in the ANTiSEEN lore, but it's a very important chapter for us, I think. Along with, Jason, who is a longtime associate of ANTiSEEN. Let me tell you how long Jason has been associated with us. When we were the lineup of Throgmorton, Young, O'Keefe, and myself, we were playing Charleston, South Carolina. Probably the first time we'd ever been down there. I don't even want to guess what year it was. I'm thinking 88, 89.
I think it was 88, I think.
88. Jason's dad got us to call Jason on his birthday.
Yep.
He couldn't believe it was.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He was a kid then.
Yep.
He was a kid that used to come down, like his parents had to get him into the club. So
Yeah.
he's been associated with us that long.
Yep, 14.
And, 14
Yep.
years old. How old are you now?
Jesus, 47?
47!
Yeah. Long time, but wouldn't trade it for the world. And merch man, everything.
Yeah, you've been our merch guy?
Yep. Yep.
You've been our merch guy.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Being a merch guy wasn't a blast.
Well, it had its moments.
I guess if you want to see us 109 times,
Right.
it's a fun thing.
Or get called out from the stage in San Francisco saying our nerd merch guy went and bought the Harry Potter book at midnight.
Oh, we did do that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Packed house.
But at least we didn't offer free ball sack powderings
Very true.
to you like we did Travis.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's always a silver lining. But I just saw a second ago that Malcolm Tent said that the DVD is on ANTiSEEN.com right now.
Awesome.
So here it is. Hell, go in there now. Let me mail some out to you tomorrow, boy. Here it is. Come get some. Jason Griscom, it has been an honor having you today.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Come back sometime. We'll talk about other stuff that makes no difference to anybody.
I would love to.
Well, Jason, you know it's true. You know it's true
What's true?
that one day we're going to have to break on through.